72 hours later, and we're ready to believe. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hold on, okay.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the November 15th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Bench the app. Never take a zero, never take a goose egg because you left a player in your starting lineup that didn't play. Download Bench the app today and make that a thing of the past. All right. I hate to be one of those guys. We're going to talk about the Rams today, of course. We're going to talk about the Rams Patriots. We're going to talk about the Rams and next year's draft and what they need to go after, cornerback. And then we're going to talk about the worst case scenario coming out of this weekend. But before we get there, I'm going to be one of those guys, right? That you need to not talk to me Sunday morning. Okay. So this is my day. My day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank. 10 a.m. when the Rams are kicking off, I'm going to be getting into the pulpit, and I'm probably not going to be getting out until close to noon. All right. So what I need you to do is not contact me, text me, write me, drop lines anywhere where I'll be notified, because I've had people like Steeler fan Rob in the past who forgets he lives in Missouri. He's 2 hours difference. He's always sending me updates right in the middle of service. So don't be one of those guys, because I'll have to out you as one of those guys. I literally posted a picture of Steeler fan Rob last year and the evil he committed by letting me know scores of games. I don't want to know. And with that said, I know it's 5:05 right now, and those of you that got Netflix, and I do, I don't want to know the outcome of the Tyson-Paul fight. I know I'm taking a big hit tonight. I'm probably not anyone's going to watch me. I get it. That's okay. You guys watch later. That's cool. You know, I love the bigger crowd. I love the interaction. But hey, I'd watch Tyson Paul later and now and watch me later. I get that. With that said, before I get to it, because it is in my other batch here that I was going to go into, I'm taking Tyson tonight. Last thing to go is the punch. And if I'm him, I play like a dog for three rounds. I don't expend any energy because everyone's thinking, you know, Tyson's got to knock him out in 3. If it goes any longer than that, Paul's going to beat him up. He's going to wear out. If I'm Tyson, I'm casually sparring with him between rounds 1 and 3. Make them think he's the old man who doesn't have the gas, and then unleash hate in the 4th round on Paul. Yeah, I was never a big Tyson fan. I've always made the mistake of betting against him and then losing. But and I know Paul has just displayed some attributes of being a decent fighter. But goodness gracious, this is Mike Tyson, right? You don't have to. I didn't like Muhammad Ali, but I mean, these guys are these guys for a reason. And so I hope Tyson kind of takes him out. But don't tell me if he did. Okay. So we took that stuff out of the way.
Stay in your lane, bro.
I'm staying in my lane right now, and I'm willing to accept this conversation. If the worst happens on Sunday, and you know what I'm talking about, if the Rams lose to the 3-7 Patriots, the 3-7 Patriots that are scheduled to only win 4 games this year, the 3-7 Patriots who are a horrible team, if you thought the Rams had better talent than the Dolphins, which I still do, what do you think the talent differential between the Rams and the Patriots is? It's huge. So I'm willing to accept this conversation, but let me lay this out here. I can understand conversations about Kupp and the end coming. I get it. I wouldn't have liked it if they traded him, but we get it. Get something for him while you can. Get out from under his contract. Totally understand it. I think more was made of the Cup trade deal than actually was. I think some teams inquired. The Rams wanted to find out what his market was worth, so they asked around. And in the end, they decided to keep him because they hadn't punted on this season. I understand that. Stafford, who is still playing at a high level, I understand it's possible that the Rams could move off of him, right? I could understand it. I don't like it, but I can understand the conversation. But if the defense performs well and Sean McVay's offense sputters to just a touchdown and 3 field goals and comes up craps again inside the 10 and they lose, does that start a conversation about, drumroll please, Sean McVay, right? Does that start a drum?
That is incredibly jejune.
Yes, I think it is. By and large, most part, it is jejune. But where do we start talking? Because the defense done its part. The defense has done its part. Every game except for the Cardinals that the Rams have lost this year, they've lost 5 games. 4 of them have been by 1 possession. Can I say that again? They've lost 5 games. 4 of them have been by 1 possession. To me, that's not, and they're not losing games 41-38, right? They're not losing games 47-44. They're not losing games 54-51. They're losing games like they lost last week. They're losing by 1 possession. Does that create a conversation about Sean McVay? Now, I'm pro McVay, and if he's all in, then I'm all in. He's earned that. We've lived through the nightmares of everything before. But does a bad loss in New England start the clock again on Sean McVay's future? And I'm not talking, if this team was 6-2 and they tripped up in New England, that's one thing. If this team was 6-3 at this point, where they're 9 games played, they're 6-3 and they tripped up in New England, that's one thing. You can say, okay. But we're starting to see a real awful pattern with the Rams here, is this inability of the offense to finish. You got a quarterback who can still make all the throws. He's mobile enough to get around, move him outside, and do a few things with. The offensive line's been terrible for the most part. The decisions along the offensive line have been terrible. But at some point when you get in the red zone, right, especially goal to go, who's starting to wear that hat, right? Someone's got to take that responsibility. And I think a conversation would almost have to begin if the Rams lose in New England. That's how bad New England is, all right? I also heard this argument that the Rams are too old and need to rebuild. I honestly don't know how people get paid or stay employed in this business, right? I don't understand, because this wasn't what you would call my kind of media right here. This was called what they would call, I guess, legacy media. People are still broadcasting over the AM airwaves and stuff, and have high-profile podcasts, a lot of production values. They've got a reputation and history and stuff. And I heard them discussing the Rams are old and need to rebuild. And I don't know how they keep their jobs. I don't know how they stay employed. But of course, we have sports talk all over this country, at least in LA right now. We have sports talk that involves discussions about everything but sports, right? What do you eat for Christmas? What do you like to do for Thanksgiving? Are you kidding me? Baseball hot stove is going on. NFL season's going on. Hockey, basketball, all these things are going on. Tyson, Paul, and they're talking about, hey, what are your traditions for Thanksgiving on sports talk? So how do these people stay employed? And they say the Rams are old and need to rebuild. Can I just share with you? The Rams have 7 players on the offensive side of the ball that are 30 years and older. Shall I name them? Matthew Stafford, 36. Jimmy G, 33. Is Jimmy G a component in the Rams' future? Rob Havenstein's 32. Tyler Higbee's 31. Kupp's 31. D-Rob's 30. The Rams got loaded, a room full of wide receivers. No one expects D-Rob to be around. Higbee, they wouldn't have signed Parkinson. They've drafted Davis. We know the Higbee run is coming to an end. 7 players on the entire offense are 30 or older. And right now, the only ones are Stafford, Havenstein, and Kupp. So we're old? I don't think so. On defense, the Rams have 2 players over the age of 30. And Johnny Johnson isn't even one of them. He's on the IR, but he's only 29 still. Darius Williams is 31, and he'll be 32 next year, and he's playing pretty well right now. And Troy Reeder is 30. What's this rebuild again? What's this? The Rams got to get younger business again? I do not understand that at all. All right. Warren McClendon, I saw on one of the links, Rams are going to start a third stringer at right tackle. I don't really think of Warren McClendon as the third stringer. I think of Warren McClendon as the backup who got passed over for Joe Noteboom because Joe Noteboom's making bigger money, right? If McClendon's just competent this Sunday, and he's been competent this year at right tackle, if he's just competent, then we've seen the last of Joe Noteboom with the Rams. And yeah, he's out with another ankle injury, right? And I'm pro Noteboom. I was pro Noteboom, but the dude can't stay on the field. And then when he's on the field, he's not playing enough to be a factor because he's awful. He was awful Monday night. Awful. Can I say it again? Did I say it? Yeah, he was awful. Word is Tyler Higbee is only a few weeks away. And I will say this I'm glad Higbee's coming back. I am. But Higbee's just Higbee. And then he's coming back. He hasn't played for a year. Is Higbee Aragorn returning to Gondor? Is he the king coming in? I don't understand. Everyone's getting all excited about Higbee. I'm happy for Higbee himself. I think he helps. But after not playing for a year, significant injury, is he going to be so far and away better than Davis, Long, and Parkinson that it's just going to change Rams' fortunes? I don't get it. By the way, he's on the PUP list. McVay says he's a few weeks away. Rams today released practice squad tight end Miller Forrestal, and that's not big news. The offensive line this week, Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson, and Warren McClendon at right tackle. I don't think anything's going to change. You can't pull Jonah Jackson. You can't pull him now. You're paying him too much money. I get it. You got to find out. You got to get some groove going between him, Avila, Dotson, everybody else in the interior. This is a team to do it against, except that we know the Rams have a way of, if they're playing the 78, 79 Steelers, the Rams are going to play at that level. And if the Rams are playing the 76 Buccaneers, then they're going to play at that level. That's what this team has done this year, especially offensively. So we'll see. All right, Steve Ramirez, no worries. I don't care for that farce. Oh, okay. Thanks, Steve. It's good to have you with us. ESG, McVay has been tight-lipped about who is going to start at center. I'm going to lean. I agree with you, ESG. I'm going to go with Jonah Jackson until I hear different, because if he starts Bo Limmer with Jonah Jackson healthy, that's going to be a really awkward moment, right? That's going to be like, hey, man, we made a big butt signing. This guy's getting 18 rocks. That means we whiffed on an 18 rock a year lineman. And that's a huge deal, right? That's going to make the Joe Noteboom signing look really, really bad. So we'll see. Around the NFL and other places, I gave you my thoughts about the Tyson fight. There we go. In regards to Philly last night, to see Philly Taxkins, I was rooting for the Taxkins. I picked Philly because I was at the vet, but you know what I mean. Besides some play calling and some really weird play calling by the Eagles, they won that game. I thought their defense looked really, really good. Right? I thought they did a really good job. Rams are getting them in 2 weeks. 10 days. Jalen Hurts to me didn't look great. Did Jalen Hurts look great to you? He didn't look great to me. I'm going to let Steve Ramirez, and Steve, you're with me, and I thought of you when I wrote this analogy down. You know who Jalen Hurts reminds me of? He reminds me of a more talented and more athletic Joe Cap, right? Hard worker, great team leader, but way too many misses in the passing game. Just way too many misses. And I appreciate the fact he'll do anything for his team. You get that in Jalen Hurts. I totally appreciate that. But I was just trying to peg this guy because he's a great leader. He's athletic. I don't know if Joe Cap was as athletic. Definitely not as athletic as Jalen Hurts. But he's a good leader, and they respect him on that team. But as a passer, he just has way too many misses. And when you've got Dallas Goedert, the Slim Reaper in Devonta Smith, and A.J. Brown, man, you should be blowing teams out. Instead, it's all Saquon. And Saquon, I underestimated what he would mean to that team because I wasn't a big Saquon fan. But right now, Saquon's playing out of his mind. But if something happens to him, if something happens to Saquon, if Saquon goes down, the Eagles are done, man. They're done. And something to think about there. Regarding the Texans, young team, good opportunity. They blew it. But I do have to ask this one. You're down 12-10 midway through the fourth quarter, and you don't kick a 48 or 49 yarder to go ahead. Now, I know they had Zane Gonzalez, the recently promoted backup signed kicker, come in, but he hasn't missed a kick. And you don't go for the field goal that puts you up 13-10 or 13-12. I just did not understand that. And maybe someone can tell me. All right. Coaches on the hot seat. Man, it sounds like it's really bad in Chicago, and they've said they're not firing anybody. That's something to think about. Nothing changed in the AFC playoff picture. NFC playoff picture, Eagles basically wrapped up the NFC East. They're 8-2. Texans are 7-4. Giants and Cowboys are on their way to Siberia, so that's taken care of. You got the Falcons and, of course, the Cardinals at 6-4. They're on bye. The one thing that did seem you got the Falcons 7-2, who the Rams have beaten. Okay, or the Vikings 7-2, who the Rams have beaten. Then you got the Packers 6-3. They're in now what would be the 6th slot. And then the Texans are 7-4, who the Rams don't play this year. That's a 3-game difference between the Rams, but they haven't lost to the Packers. Eagles are division winner. That might give the Rams some pliability in the wild card in a very long shot sort of way. 49ers are in the 8th slot at 5-4. Bears, by victory over the Rams, are 4-5. Rams are 4-5. Seahawks are 4-5. Tampa Bay is 4-6. And where would Tampa Bay be if they hadn't lost Evans and Godwin, right? Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind this year. All right, Rams remaining schedule, Patriots 3-7. And then next week, week 12, Eagles at SoFi, Saints in New Orleans, Bills in SoFi, 49ers, Jets, Cards, and Seattle. We want the Rams to make their run, and now we're going to know really fast in the next couple of weeks how it's going to be. If the Rams can get out of their next 3 games at 6-6, right? I see them losing to the Eagles if something doesn't change. They've got to beat the Patriots. They've got to beat the Saints. They could be 6-6 when the Bills come to SoFi, and then that really starts the playoff run, right? Bills, 49ers. You got a little reprieve there with the Jets because you don't know where they're going to be, and then the Cardinals and Seahawks. So we're going to know real fast. I think the Rams are going to know real fast on what their offseason is going to look like. All right, I'm Joe Terosian, a sports writer for 21 years, one of the founding guys at Mid-Valley Sports. I no longer work there. Those guys at the Mid, they're still in the room. They're covering the Chargers now. You can check them out at midvalleysports.com. And I'm here doing RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto and Bench the App. And if you're tired of losing your fantasy games because you forgot to check your lineup with Bench the App, that's a thing of the past. Bench the App is the only app that ensures you never leave a non-starting player in your lineup. Don't miss out on crucial points, and don't be the guy who forgot to bench a player on game day. Win your league, keep your pride, talk some trash, and let Bench the App handle the rest. Download Bench the App today and dominate your fantasy season. Okay. And I write books. My books are on Amazon. Someone was asking, tell us about your books, Joe. I don't know if this is a book review show. I've written 3 football books. Tangent Dreams was my first one. It was a high school football novel, very well received, did well. Then my second one was Temple City and the Company of the Ages, a little bit of a ghost story there. And then my most recent one is Game Day in the RamCave, and that is available on Amazon. It's sold really well so far, and if you're interested, it's a fictional NFC championship game between the Rams and the Packers, so you might want to check that out. And again, that all helps me in my day job, as I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. Okay, college football this week. Oregon's at Wisconsin, Texans got Arkansas, Ohio State, Northwestern, Penn State at Purdue. Alabama is playing Mercer. They should be punished. They should be dropped 3 spots just for playing Mercer, and then dropped out of the top 25 if they lost to Mercer. Ole Miss is on a bye. Indiana 10-0 is on bye. They get Ohio State next week. Georgia 7-2 gets Tennessee. That sounds like one of the best games, if not the best game of the week. Miami's on bye. Colorado, Utah is interesting. LSU at Florida is a blowout. Notre Dame at Virginia is easy. Missouri at South Carolina. Clemson gets Pittsburgh. And Army's on a bye, and they get Notre Dame the following week. BYU is at Kansas. Boise State at San Jose State. Washington State at New Mexico. And Nebraska is coming to the Coliseum to play USC. All right, let's see if we got any questions piled in. Oh, we did. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. ESG, do you think Puka's knee's bothering him? I think we'll find out this next game. Yeah, I haven't heard anything, seen anything. In some ways, that punch in Seattle gave him another week off, less wear and tear. I think we're going to see it because right now, they're not supposed to be good. The Patriots' pass defense is middle of the road. Their pass rush is middle of the road, and their run defense is terrible. So there should be opportunities there for Nakua to find out. Yes, thank you. Tim Burns. Cooper DeJean sticks like glue. Oh, you love Cooper DeJean, don't you? There you go. Hey, what did you guys think about that garbage call on Mike Sanistro, the Michigan guy, on A.J. Brown? They called illegal contact, man. Jubilee Dunbar. That looked like a major fiction there, man. That looked like somebody had some money somewhere in Vegas. Tim Burns. McClendon starting again. Our depth is shallow. Yes, our depth is shallow, but you know what? I do prefer, I said it last week, I do prefer Warren McClendon to Joe Noteboom. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. I prefer to call Washington the Ramskins. Okay, there you go. Hey, I just refuse to call them the Commanders, right? I just refuse to call them that. Steve Ramirez. Hurts is way more athletic, and while not very accurate, he throws a much better ball than Cap. Those Ducks were nearly Indo-red. Oh, I agree. I just see the leadership qualities of Hurts, and he's a hard worker, and you see all those things, but he just needs to get sharper throwing the ball. ESG, I think if we contain Hurts like we did Tua, we should be able to beat them. But then which Rams offense will show up? That's again the story, right? Every time the Rams play somebody, I don't know, one of you guys mentioned it on here. They play to the level of their opponent. Right? Something happens to Saquon, though, they're in trouble in Philly. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. I think the Rams have a better shot versus Philly, versus the Eagles than the Bills. I think the Eagles game might be close, but the Bills could blow us out. I would say that, but man, they've got a whole lot of injury issues there at their wide receiver spot, right? I think Keon Coleman's out again this week. Dalton Kincaid is out. Amari Cooper has a wrist injury. That's going to be an interesting one to see if they're still in that place. The Bills are, again, I don't want to be a doom and gloomer. Rams go to 5-5. We're all going to start. Yeah. We're all going to start believing again, right? We're all going to start believing again. Sorry, Steve. UCLA versus Washington tonight. That's a big one for UCLA. That's a big one, right? That is a real big one. Good luck to the Bruins. There we go. Okay, so I was talking about age and everything early on in the show, and as we were talking about age, what are the Rams going to do? Well, one of the things I've been screaming for all season is that defensive tackle, that big fat body to put right there in the center of the line on defense. And Bobby Brown's emerged. Bobby Brown's played some of the best ball of his career. He's in his 4th year. We don't know if he's going to be back. I imagine if he keeps this up over the next 2 months, he's going to get some offers. So that's one thing that's at play for the Rams in terms of this coming draft, where they have a full complement of picks. So they have 2 3s and a number 1. They don't have the number 2. They gave that up to get Braden Fisk, which we're all good with. But I was looking at the Rams defensive room. Darius Williams playing well, but he turns 32 next year. Ahkello Witherspoon is not a long-term answer. No one wanted him. Rams didn't want him. He turns 30 next year. Kobe Durant and Darian Kendrick, who's out for the year this season with a knee injury, are in their final year in 2025. And right now, neither, well, less so Kendrick, Durant needs to do a little bit more. Neither has done anything to make you think, yeah, man, let's give this guy a little more, right? THT, Jadavius Hodges Tomlinson, the guy that they said if it was 3 inches taller, he would have been a number 1 pick. Yeah, he remains a mystery. He didn't get any snaps hardly last year, and he is, of course, on the IR all of this year. And the one guy that's played himself into the talk is Josh Wallace, who is a UDFA. And, how many clicks can you get out of a UDFA? Is he Everson Walls, right? Can we get an Everson Walls out of Josh Wallace? I think I'm thrilled that he's been on the field. He's a little banged up right now. Lower leg injury against Seattle, and they have him on the list this week as a hip injury, as questionable, but he's a UDFA. So what do the Rams do? Do they have to be in a market? I would think they have to be in the market in the draft for a cornerback. But what's the history of the Rams drafting corners? So I'm looking at this. I'm counting about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys they drafted that were pure corners. Let's see we got here. Janoris Jenkins, they spent a second round. This is during the McSnead era. This is during Snead era. They spent a second round for Janoris Jenkins in 2012. That same draft in round 3, they purchased or they drafted Jermaine Johnson in the 3rd round. So both those guys really worked out. Janoris Jenkins was sometimes feast or famine, but the Rams got some good years out of those guys. It was a competent, corner room. And Tremaine lasted through 2017. He was one of the last players I think the Rams ever franchise tagged. They franchised him in 2017, and I think they franchised LaMarcus Joyner, who's not on this list because I moved LaMarcus Joyner around, but they franchised LaMarcus Joyner in 2018. EJ Gaines was a 6th rounder in 2014. And then David Long, that's the last quality pick they really spent on a corner. David Long out of Michigan, 3rd round. 79th overall in 2019. And then Robert Rochelle, 4th round, 2021. Kobe Durant, 4th round in 2022. Darian Kendrick, 6th round, that same draft. And then in 2023, THT, Trey Hodges Tomlinson, was in the 6th round. So in the history of Snead, they've got 1 second-round pick, 2 3s, 2 4s, and 3 6s. And they haven't taken a cornerback in the 1st round since Ty Hill in 2006. Out of Clemson. And I understand, if you drafted Ty Hill, you're going to be really shy about drafting another cornerback, right? And of course, that was a different admin, but the Rams haven't drafted a cornerback in the 1st round since 2006. That was Ty Hill. In 2005, they spent a 2nd round and a 50th overall pick on Ron Bartell. Now, Ron Bartell had a nice run with the Rams, had a real nice run with the Rams, nice physical cornerback. But you go back before that, after Ty Hill, the last time the Rams spent a number 1 pick on a cornerback, it was Todd Light. And they got 10 years out of Todd Light, 5th round in 1991. I'm sorry, 5th overall in 1991 out of Notre Dame, right? But so they really haven't been drafting their corners, right? The ones they did get clicks out of, Ron Bartell, Tremaine Johnson, the team wasn't very good. In the Greatest Show on Turf era, they made the deal for Aeneas Williams. I think he had 1 year at safety, 1 year at corner, and then he moved to safety. They made deals in the McVay era for Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, and Jalen Ramsey. So you got to wonder, they have to upgrade at corner. They have to. Are they going to do it high in the draft? Are they going to do it in 3rd round of the draft? Would they do it 1st round in the draft? We've never seen them do that. It's been 18 years since they've spent a 1st round pick on a corner. So could they go free agency? Well, Carlton Davis, who's playing well in Detroit, he's going to be a free agent. He's 28. Tavarius Ward in Frisco, he's 30 next year. He's a free agent. DJ Reed with the Jets is having a good year. He turns 29 next year. Every other free agent cornerback of any value at all, they're all going to be over 30, with the exception of maybe Byron Murphy in Minnesota. He's going to be 26 or 27, and I don't know how much you want to spend on him. And then again, with all of them, it's kind of fitting into what the Rams want to do, right? It's can you play the zone, right? Can you do these different things? And so what corner is a good fit, and how much do they want to spend? But I think the Rams really do need to address the corner situation. because I think what we have is good enough for this year. But are you going to get another year out of a 32-year-old Darius Williams? Again, Akilla Witherspoon, right? Come on, we're stealing snaps from him when nobody wanted him, and Kobe Durant is Kobe Durant. Forget about Darian Kendrick and THT. Kobe Durant is okay, right? And if he turns it on the back half of this year, then maybe we see something. But he's good, he's okay. But is he the answer? The Rams really do need an answer at corner. Just something to think about. Rams have all their draft picks, a full complement in 2026. Next year, they got everything except a second rounder and a fifth rounder, but they got 2 3s and 3 6s. There you go. So that's where we're at. No news on John Johnson, his fractured scapula. Let's look at that Patriot game real quick here. Let's see if we got something here. Boom and boom. All right. The Patriot game. Patriots are projected to win 4 games this year, right? And they have a brutal offensive line right now. In fact, I'm looking at their offensive line right on my board right here. This is not the offensive line that I wrote down at the start of the season. I'm sorry, in the middle of the offseason last year of who their expected offensive line was going to be. Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, not that Michael Jordan, Ben Brown, Mike Onuwenu, the guy out of Michigan. He's the only name that I know. And then DeMondre Jacobs. That's it. They are terrible in pass protection, and they're terrible blocking for their running backs, right? Drake May is young. He's mobile, and he can be dangerous, right? He can be dangerous. Does not have a great receiving core. He's got the McMillan kid out of Washington. And there's not a whole lot there. They got, Bote? They used to play at LSU. They look pretty, but they're not very good. Hunter Henry is at tight end, and he's pretty solid. Ramondre Stevenson is a solid running back. You add it all up going against the Rams defense, and my feeling is the Rams defense should feast. They should feast. They should hold this team between 10 and 14 points. Now, don't hold it against the defense if the Rams turn the ball over on their side of the 50 and they give a field goal or they give up a touchdown. But defensively, they should hold this Patriot team to 10 to 14 points at most. If they're bludgeoned by the the Patriots offense, and the Rams defensively give them up more than 14 points, then you can rightly criticize the Rams defense. But I think they're going to hold them to 10 to 14. The Patriots have an average pass rush, an average secondary. It's not bad. It's not great, but the run defense is terrible. The Dolphins' front seven wasn't good either. So we'll see. Rams do. Again, we talked about it. They have a tendency to play down. This game should be 31-14 Rams. The Rams have done well in the 10 a.m. window. Don't let me know how well they do. I want to find out on my own. I'm going to watch this game and record it. Then I don't have to watch commercials. But the problem is, again, the Rams do find a way to play at their opponent's level. So that makes me nervous. But I'm going to hold out. Rams 31, Patriots 14. A lot of the nervousness goes away. You should still be nervous, but I think a lot of people are going to feel better about themselves and lighten up a little bit and stuff. I can't think of a more disappointing loss. Maybe the loss to the Jets in 2020, a regular season loss that was as disappointing as that Ram performance against the Dolphins. Maybe if they had lost a shootout, that's one thing. But there were just times there the offensive line didn't look like it was competing. Okay, Week 11's begun. Taxkins Eagles, the Sonny Jurgensen Bowl. Philly won 26-18. Packers and Bears in the Zeke Kwiatkowski Bowl. Jobs are on the line in Chicago. I'm going to go with the Packers in that one. Jaguars at Lions. Detroit all the way in the James Stewart Bowl. Raiders, Dolphins in the Hubert Ginn Bowl. Raiders have already scored their shocker this season. They always get a shocker in there. They've already gotten it. Dolphins should beat them. Rams, Patriots in the Randy Fataha Bowl. Rams 31-14. Browns, Saints. Initially, I took the Saints at home in the Jubilee Dunbar Bowl. But I think I'm going to go with the Browns. Last minute flip. I'm going to go with the Browns. Jets and Colts. The Jack Trudeau Bowl. I got to believe that, Rodgers now, it's like, forget about Super Bowl, forget about playoffs. Rodgers' legacy is kind of on the line again, right? And I think he's going to play great. I think he's going to summon it up and play great. If they lose this game at home, there was that whole thing that Ulbrich had the defense out there because they missed so many tackles, and Sauce was upset because he had to participate in a tackling drill for the Jets. This team's a mess. It's a disaster. But I think Rodgers is going to find a way. One more moment for the master, right? And if he doesn't have a moment and he looks terrible, he should retire now. He should just retire now. Tell him your Achilles is acted up and you just can't do anything. Tell him you've been hiding it for 6 weeks. Ravens at Steelers, a 10 a.m. game. How ridiculous is that? A 10 a.m. game. NFL's got no clue. They keep sending their teams overseas, and they put Ravens Steelers in this window and stick us with Bengals Chargers, but the Texans Cowboys? Please tell me there's a flex coming my way. I don't think there is. The Rod Woodson Bowl, I go with Pittsburgh because they're a more complete team, and I think they're a much more complete team. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching Lamar and the Miracles, and so I think the Steelers defense is more complete. I think I think with Russell Wilson, the Steelers offense as much more to offer. So that's why I'm going with the Steelers. Vikings, Titans in the Warren Moon Bowl. Sam Darnold gets it right. It's a get-right game for Sam Darnold. Falcons, Broncos in the Dan Reeves Bowl. The Falcons might have a shot in this game, but I'm so angry with them, I'm not going to pick them. I'm going with Bo Nix. Seahawks at 49ers in the Ricky Waters Bowl. The Seahawks could really do the Rams a solid. Now, if you're a Seahawk fan out there, think about this. I want you to think about this. Say, I want to beat the 49ers, so everything for the season comes down between the Rams and the Seahawks in week 18, and then it'll be sweeter if the Seahawks, for the Seahawk fan to think, it will be sweeter to hurt the Rams and keep the Rams out of the playoffs, right? So, but to do that, you got to beat the 49ers, right? So beat the 49ers. Let's get everybody coming out of this weekend at 5-5 in the lower part of the NFC West. So, but I'm taking the 49ers. Seahawks, please upset this apple cart. Chiefs at Bills in the Jeff Kinney Bowl. I think KC finally gets halted, and there's going to be stupid talk about, the Bills have figured out KC. Yeah, it's regular season. Playoffs are a different thing. KC's been living on a prayer. Harrison Butker just had surgery. He's on the IR. Casey's been now Pacheco's window has been opened, but I don't think that makes a difference. I think the bill comes due for KC on Sunday. That's not a catastrophe unless Mahomes gets hurt, but I think the Bills get this win at home. Bengals Chargers, the James Brooke Bowl. The Bolts are a dilemma for me. They really are. I love Harbaugh. I love Herbert. I can't stand the ownership, and I can't stand what those bums did and didn't do in Arizona a few weeks ago. But I do like Harbaugh, and I do like Herbert. Chargers are 5-3. Bengals are 4-6. I'm going to go with the Chargers. And then Monday night, Texans, Cowboys, the Dalton Schultz Bowl. I got no dog in this fight other than hatred for the Cowboys. I think I'm sorry Mike McCarthy has to go through this. I don't hate Mike McCarthy. I feel bad for Mike McCarthy, but no hatred for him. But it's always fun to get up in the morning and see how bad the Cowboys lost. That's like, I've had games where the Rams lose, and it's awful, but it gets just a little bit better. It's like taking an aspirin, right? I'm not feeling good. You take an aspirin, you feel a little bit better. That's what it is when the Cowboys lose, right? You just feel a little bit better when the Cowboys lose. Okay, Giants, Panthers, Buccaneers, and Cardinals are all on bye this week. Okay.
It was a stone groove, my man.
Okay, born on this day in 1979, the Rams, first-round pick, 12th overall in 2003 out of Penn State, 6'4", 320. The Rams got 4 sacks out of this guy in 53 games. 4 sacks in 4 seasons, right? 4 sacks in 3.5 seasons, I guess you could say. Not full 4. That was Jimmy Kennedy. What a bust. He was traded to the Broncos for a conditional 6th-round pick. That's how bad Jimmy Kennedy was. That was a crusher. Born on this day in 1990, Ethan Westbrooks. He was an undrafted free agent, appeared in 68 games for the Rams from 2014 to 2018. Rotational guy, appeared in the Super Bowl, had a little bit of run there with the Raiders. He was also in the UFL this past year. He only had 9 sacks, 20 tackles for losses, but he was a competent guy. The Ethan Westbrook story is interesting because that was the year the Rams were forced, and I do believe because they were in Missouri, they were forced to draft Michael Sam. Michael Sam's pro day was a disaster. Everything was a disaster about Michael Sam, but because he came out as gay, you had to draft him, right? And I can remember coaches saying, "This is ridiculous, Joe. It's time. They need to draft him." I said, "He can't play. He can't play." And I remember NFL Network, when Sam got a sack, I think he got 2 sacks in the preseason, they would actually cut away from games because they were so desperate to make Michael Sam their hero, and the guy couldn't play. And the guy the Rams kept was the undrafted free agent Ethan Westbrooks. And time went on. You never saw Michael Sam again, except, athletes are dying of cancer, athletes are doing amazing things, but Michael Sam, said he had an alternative lifestyle and he got the Arthur Ashe Award, right? That's all Michael Sam was, right? And don't talk about, well, he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Jackson Jeffcoat was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't get drafted either. So anyway, I always appreciated Ethan Westbrooks because he had to fight through a lot. He had to fight through a lot to get on that roster, and he gave the Rams 5 seasons. On this day in 1994, this former Ram linebacker is turning 31. His name is Kenny Young. Remember Kenny Young? Kenny Young had a nice year and a half with the Rams. They traded him midway through the 2021 season. Think about this. That was 2021, and the Rams traded him to Denver for a 6th-round pick. Do you know when the Rams are getting that 6th-round pick? Of the 3 6th-round picks the Rams have this year, one of those 6th-round picks is from the Kenny Young deal. The Rams got rid of Kenny Young. They got rid of Kenny Young for a draft pick they were going to get 3 years later. And now we're finally collecting on the Kenny Young trade. If you think about that Rams team in 2021, they were really struggling off ball. They went to the Super Bowl with Troy Reeder and Ernest Jones, a rookie, and they won that Super Bowl with those guys. Micah Kaiser came through, and all those guys came through. Kenny Young came through. Kenny Young was a specimen, but I think he always just got lost in coverage. And I don't know what he was like in the locker room, but the Rams moved him out pretty quick. And they said, "Fine, you want him? Great. Give us a 6th in 3 years, and we'll take him." And the Rams did. So that was pretty interesting. All right, let's see here. Steve Ramirez, Rams 20-6. Okay, all right, I'll buy that. Is that 2 touchdowns? Can I get a touchdown in the red zone, Steve? Can I get a 1st and goal at the 9 and see the Rams score? That's what I want. ESG, Rams have to take advantage of a really good possibility of the Cardinals losing at the Vikings. Yeah, they're off this week, though. The Cards are off this week. There is room, and again, I sound like I'm doom and gloom, but there's room here for a Cardinal collapse because they're the Cardinals. And until Kyler Murray holds this together for a full 18 weeks, I've seen this guy. This guy is a bailer. This guy's a finger pointer. This guy, it's always somebody else's fault. He just has bad body language, right? And so I'm not real big on Kyler Murray, and he's having a moment right now. And Jonathan Gannon, we talked about this last year. He's got this team playing really, really hard. I thought next year would be their year. I really did. And they drafted well. I loved their draft last year and everything. And so they are going to get better. This isn't complete fool's gold, but I'm suspicious, and I think there could be a collapse. ESG, I do. No, I think it's a couple weeks from now. ESG, they're playing. Tim Burns, Rams 24, Pats 20. Okay, Mr. Burns, let me ask you this: is that 20 points scored on all the defense, or are we looking at a Ram turnover, a tipped pass, a sack, and a fumble? Because I'm holding out that the Rams defense actually doesn't give up anything more than 14 points. But if the Rams turn the ball over inside their 40, inside their 50, and give up a field goal or a touchdown there, then I want justice done to the defense, because that's not on the defense. So tell me what you think there, Mr. Burns. DJ Fono, feels good watching delusional Cowboy fans lose. DJ Fono, absolutely, right? I don't really miss Skip Bayless that much, but I got to tell you, when they would lose, whether it was Shannon or that last round table he had with Keyshawn and everybody, I got to tell you, I didn't mind getting up at 6:30, 6 o'clock, coming out to my office, doing the things, getting my day started and putting that on. I didn't really watch that whole show because it was about the Lakers, LeBron, the Cowboys, and that was it, right? And so it was fun to see him get so worked up. It's a pleasure, right? Jerry Jones, if you've never seen the movie Frogs, 1972 low-budget horror movie, which starred a young Sam Elliott. Jerry Jones is Ray Milland. Everyone around him is dying, and he's in his wheelchair, refusing to acknowledge what's happening. And in the end, he gets killed. That's Jerry Jones. He's sitting there going, no, I can hold this together, right? I'm wondering if Seinfeld came back and rebooted and they were living in Dallas, if they'd have Larry David play Jerry Jones, right? Jerry Jones and chaos doesn't work for the Dallas Cowboys. That would be funny. Anyway, I'm anti-Cowboy, as you figured. Tim Burns, Iron Mike going to knock Gen Z into a completely different, to a new generation. I hope so. I hope so. It's just that I want someone to respect what Mike Tyson did. And you don't have to like him or anything like that, but I'm just saying this guy was a great fighter. This guy put the fear of God in people. I mean, this guy was, every time he walked into the ring, the old line is true. It was felonious assault. I mean, this guy was brutal, right? Manuel Vasquez, Rams 31-17. All right, we'll dance with that. Steve Ramirez, well, since Butker is out, so I had to pick up Cardi. So 25-6 would be better with 6 field goals and a Puka TD reception. Now, is that reception outside the 20? Is that outside the 20, Mr. Ramirez? I really, really want to know. Okay, let's see here. If we got anything else to throw out there, I think I got it all in. Yeah, I knew we were going to take a hit tonight. Thoughts on Ravens Steelers, guys? I'm curious. Any thoughts on Ravens Steelers? I know how Steeler fan Rob feels, but how do you guys feel about Ravens Steelers? I like the Steelers in this game. I do. I like the Steelers in this game. And one other game I wanted to ask you about that I was curious people's thoughts. Where is it at? Oh, Seahawks 49ers. That was the one. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Seahawks could really do the Rams a solid here. If the 49ers can lose to the Seahawks and the Rams beat the Patriots, I keep doing this every week, looking at the best outcome for the Rams. The Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers would all be 5-5, but the Rams would be in second place because they've beaten both the Seahawks and the 49ers. Boom. How would that make you feel? That would make you feel pretty good. And if the Rams can go to 5-5, that means they're only two games behind the Taxkins for the last wild card spot. Right? Young Taxkin team starting to collapse. Is that a possibility? What do you guys think? All right, let's go here. DJ Fono, Tutu and Blake needs more playing time. I don't know if Blake makes the difference here, but I definitely think Atwell does. I've heard Atwell deniers, people who don't like Atwell. I've seen them across social media come out. They got to get him out there. They got to get him out there to run some streaks. They got to get him out there to loosen things up. The problem has been, Stafford hasn't had any time, right? But you got to get him snaps. You have to, right? Go to 11 personnel. Go to, what do you want? Go to 10 personnel. Get 4 receivers in the game, right? Let Atwell be one of them. But he needs to get his touches. He needs to be on the field. ESG, I'm really hoping that the Seahawks beat the 49ers, but I ain't betting on it. Yeah, that's pretty wise, ESG. It's pretty wise not to bet on that. I wouldn't bet on it. They're in Levi, and the 49ers worked them already up there in Seattle. So, yeah, I would lean 49ers too, but the Seahawks could do them a solid. And I think we're seeing what the Seahawks are, right? Good receivers, a suspect offensive line. Abraham Lucas isn't back at right tackle. The Rams exposed their offensive line in terms of the pass rush. And Geno Smith. Geno Smith is capable of making plays, but just not consistently, as we saw with the Rams and Cam Kitchens. Geno Smith gives and Geno Smith taketh away. And can you see him putting it together for four quarters against Frisco? Right. I'm curious to see how it matches up with Joey Bosa and Charles Cross, right? Or see who lines up across from Charles Cross and where's Joey Bosa, because Jared Verse did his damage, right? Jared Verse and Byron Young did their damage against the Seahawks. Let's see. Manuel Vasquez, this would be the perfect game for our young defense to pitch shutout. I agree. That would be great, right? A shutout. I don't even mean a shutout. Is that even possible nowadays? But, if the Rams are doing what they should be doing, if the defense plays the way it should, you're right. It could be a shutout. It could be, I could be wrong. It could be 31-7 or 31-0, right? But the Rams just haven't done that yet. Maybe by next year, they'll get into that area. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. Fortunately, 49ers over the Seahawks and Steelers over the Ravens. I definitely see the Steelers over the Ravens. I picked the Steelers over the Ravens. So Steeler fan Rob better deliver. But yeah, I've picked the 49ers over the Seahawks. I'd be so happy to be proven wrong. ESG. Yes, that's why I was rooting for the Eagles to win, to take the division and let the Redskins, good term, crumble another playoff spot for the Rams. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's opened up a window, a slight window, because when you look at that, let me see where that is again. When you look at that NFC playoff picture as it stands at this moment, you've got the Vikings, who the Rams have beat, the Taxkins, who the Rams have beat, who the Rams don't play. Sorry, my bad. Who the Rams don't play, and the Packers, who've lost, right? So Packers are to get one of those spots, but and the Vikings have 7 wins. Taxkins are 7-4. Young team, going to come down to earth a little. They got to play the Eagles again. I don't even know who's on their playoff, their schedule going forward. Let me look at that real quick before we vamoose out of here. I didn't realize all my hopes to the playoffs would rest on the Taxkins, but that could be a possibility. We're talking the same language, Chief. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. They get the Cowboys. That's a win. They get the Titans. That's a win. Then they get a bye. That's a bummer. And then they get the Saints. They could easily rattle off 3 in a row here, right? And be at 10 wins. That's a crusher. Then they get the Eagles again. And then they get the Falcons, who you can't trust. And then they get the Cowboys again. Their schedule sets them up to probably be 11-6 at worst, 12-5, 12-6, 11-6. Yeah. We're going to need some serious help to get the Taxkins to collapse. They're going to have some bad stuff happen there. That's a bummer. All right, guys, we've hit the 52-minute mark. I know you guys probably got stuff to do. Steve, I thought you'd be out at a football game tonight, Steve. But thank you for joining us. I am so honored that you guys would hang out with me on this night, knowing there's a lot of stuff going on. And thank you so much. We will be on the air on Monday. And again, thank you for your support. And it was Counterfeit Clone, who we see on here every once in a while. He did say some nice things about the show in terms of my style, my voice and stuff and everything. And I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. It's encouraging. And I'm grateful to be doing this, grateful to Kisser Law for believing in us. All right, guys, it's time to rumble. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. Steve Ramirez, I am in the San Dimas parking lot, and you're listening to us. All right, guys, God bless. Take care. We will see you on Monday.